I finally just turned off the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found I was sitting at my desk, I'm doing something focused, and then I hear the noise. I'm like, oh, I gotta go look at it. And it's that distraction. It's hard to get back into focus. That was like life changing for me. And I had no idea how distracted I was because of that Slack noise. Welcome back, everyone, to Invested and Rested. Thanks so much for being here today. We have a fun episode, and we're going to talk about something that we've actually heard a few of our guests talk about, and we wanted to dive deeper into it. And that's all about setting boundaries in your life and how boundaries are actually a form of self-care. And as you know, that's what we're all about here. We want you to be invested in real estate or whatever you're investing in, but we also want you to be rested. We want you to be enjoying your life and making sure that you enjoy doing what you're doing while you're building wealth. So we've been reflecting on our own lives, and we came up with 5 boundaries that we have personally implemented that have helped us feel more successful and rested, the best of both worlds in our everyday lives. So, yeah, let us tell you about them. So first, we're going to start with social media. Do you want to tell us, Rihanna, our social media story?
Yeah. So one of the things that Caitlin and I talked extensively about before starting a business is our boundaries with social media and kind of our slight addictions with social media as well, and how we're just not interested in having it run our lives. And we knew that starting this business that we would need to incorporate social media. So we talked about how we wanted to make it work with both of us wanting to have time off. And ultimately, we were like, great, we'll just hire it out. And the reason I'm laughing is because sometimes things don't go the way that you think they will. What happened was we did not do our due diligence on who we had hired.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, I feel like you talk about doing due diligence on your tenants and running a background check, maybe checking references. And that is not something that we implemented with hiring a vendor. We knew, go ahead. What do you
Something
say?
I want to say is this is also very pertinent for your tenants, because when you know a mutual person, it's easy to think, oh, they're going to be great. And that's what happened in our situation with social media. We knew a mutual person that she was working with. So we're like, oh, she's going to be great. But go on.
Yeah. And this mutual person, we have been following her for over a year. We saw her social media grow. We had met her and the person whose social media she was doing, not the actual vendor herself. But we had met her as well. And everything had appeared to check out. Lo and behold, when things were blowing up, we decided to Google her, to leave her a Google review. Turns out she is a felon and had stolen money from her city and had gone to jail the previous year.
Yeah, she stole $175,000, and I Googled her, and then I texted Rihanna. I'm like, oh my God, the first picture is a mug shot.
Yeah.
Literally a mug shot. So that would have been the easiest due diligence to do. So anyways, that was our mistake. But from there, we are no longer working with her, and we took social media back. But with that, we have implemented boundaries of doing it ourselves. When we were working with her anyways, we had to do a lot of it anyways. We're making the videos and whatever. She was just doing the editing. But now it's summer. I've had 2 vacations, and Rihanna just had a vacation. And so we just talked to each other like, hey, I want to take Instagram off my phone this week. And Rihanna completely took over. And then I was in charge last week when she was on vacation. And that seems to be working out well for us.
Yeah. So it feels like, we're fully in charge of our social, which is really great I feel like just from the voice perspective of being able to put, I mean, we could always put on there what we wanted to, but I mean, you and I understand our voice more than anybody else. And so if we
Yeah.
do decide to hire out, we're going to be really specific with what makes sense for somebody else to do and then what we're okay with doing and what doesn't feel heavy to us. But actually, I mean, yes, we're doing everything right now, but with taking those breaks, it actually feels almost like less work. Do you feel the
Yeah.
same?
Yeah, I do too, because instead of like correcting someone's work, we're just starting from scratch. And
Imagine this: you're surrounded by a small group of women in a beautiful home, eating healthy food, and of course, some chocolate. The women have an entrepreneurial spirit like you. They want to grow, they want to expand their minds, and they want to make their life dreams come true by investing in real estate.
does this sound like something you might want to do? I know that's where I want to be. And we are in the midst of planning our 2025 retreat. We're only taking a small handful of women. So if it sounds like something you might be interested, head on over to investedandrested.com, get on our email list, and you will be the first to know and have the opportunity to join us next year. Rihanna and I had a brainstorm meeting yesterday, and we planned out the next 2 weeks, and it feels, we're kind of just switching off now that we're both here, and it's working. But something that we do personally is like on my phone, I have an iPhone, and I've put on a timer. Just within the iPhone settings, you can put on a timer. So I have Instagram blocked at 25 minutes a day total use. Granted, you can pretty easily like say ignore when the little timer comes up. It's a little too easy, so I am considering trying something else out. But it's nice when it does pop up, because I'm like, it often catches you mid scroll and you're like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. Like, it'll catch me and I'm like, I would rather be watching a show right now
Mm-hmm.
than scrolling Instagram, or I should go on a walk or finish the dishes. Like, just do something that will actually make me feel better than watching Instagram stories. But what do you use again?
Yeah, I pay actually for an ad blocker. I think it's like
Oh.
$3 a month or something, but I needed a little bit more accountability to by paying for it, help me take it a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more seriously. And since I got it, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago or so, it's been going pretty well. So during the working hours, I do have mine blocked. That doesn't mean that I don't go on social necessarily during the working hours, but I do have to specifically unblock it,
Mm-hmm.
which is in a separate app. And there's different levels too. That's like the easiest level. Then there's a couple more where I don't know, maybe you have to solve some math problems or I don't know. I just know that there's more strict modes. But for
Yeah.
me, it's just the act of like, hey, it's not, I actually had mine at 4 o'clock, but it's not 4 o'clock yet. And if I so many times in the day, I will just pick up my phone and want to automatically go to it. And I'm on
Mm-hmm.
it before I even consciously know that it's happening, which is kind of
Yeah,
scary if you think about it.
it is. Yeah. I mean, I often go first thing in the morning, and you and I were doing our meditations for a while there, and it was great.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh shoot, I got to get back on that. And I think I need to restrict first thing in the morning, and then again during the day, maybe have an hour time slot from 9 to 10 if we're posting on our own.
Mm-hmm.
But I also read the book, something like how to stop being obsessed with your phone, or how to quit your phone. I forget what it's called. I'll think of it. But
Yeah.
I read that book, and it was so interesting to read, like how these apps are constantly just doing everything they can to make you addicted to it. So uh, in that case, sometimes you do just need a break, because like I found, especially when I was doing Instagram for my health coaching business, I was constantly thinking about, oh, what can I post today on social media? Oh, what could we do that I could then post on social media? And it's like, I don't want to live my life that way. I want to take pictures when I take pictures, and then upload them when I want to upload them. So what we've been doing now is like, I've also taken my personal life out of it. I don't want to post my kids anymore. It started to feel like I was posting my family on my other account for like followers. I don't know. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
And so that's another boundary that I've created this time around. Like, yes, I'll post some things I'm doing personally, but not with my family in it.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, I want you to send this book to me afterwards, and maybe we can
I
share with
will.
everyone too. I'm like,
How to break
oh,
up with your phone. That's what it's
oh,
called.
okay. Awesome. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Thank
How
you.
to break up with your phone.
I'm going to put that one on my list.
It's a good read. It's great for anyone that's kind of in that spot of like needing a little detox.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Shall we
Yeah.
move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. So, next one is work boundaries. Caitlin, what is your biggest recent boundary that you've implemented and has worked well for you?
So well, it's probably been a year now, but I've been working as a leasing agent for almost 3 years now. And people think because I work in real estate, I'm available 24/7. And I, as much as I told people, I work like 9 to 5, and then we have an assistant that does Saturday showings. Potential tenants and owners don't respect that,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. Some do, but very rarely. I get it too, because it's a thing that they're working on after work or on the weekends or whatever. But like, I don't need to process your application on Sunday at 2 o'clock
Right.
or Thursday night at 10 o'clock. I was getting text messages from tenants that are filling out their applications, just like, oh, let me just text her and ask her. And it's like, no, I might be scrolling Instagram right then and want to be just like hanging out. And then I get a
Right.
text message. So I got myself a Google Voice number. This is totally free. And what I did was I turned off the notifications for Google Voice.
Mm-hmm.
It only notifies me during working hours and if my phone is not on silent. So at nighttime, nobody can bother me because I would have to go into the app on my phone to see text messages and phone calls. I still do get phone calls, but if it's a phone number that I don't know, I just don't even pick it up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And my voicemail says, please email me. Email is the best way to get a hold of me, especially because we have video tours. So I want to be able to send them the video tour via email instead of, it's a lot easier for me to schedule my day. So that's been huge. And what's also been huge is like telling my clients I don't work on Sunday unless it's an absolute must. Like
Mm-hmm.
we don't do showings on Sundays. We do lots of showings on Saturdays. We're available on Saturdays and all throughout the week. So that's been super, super helpful with helping my work-life balance.
That's awesome. And I have a question for you about the Google Voice. Can you send pictures and videos through there?
You can. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. And then
Yeah.
also, I think I had asked you this before, but it will transcribe your
Voicemails.
not just your voicemails, but your conversation with people, or is it just your voicemails?
No, not your conversation with people, but just your
Okay.
voicemails. We'll transcribe those. The only thing Google Voice doesn't do is it doesn't allow me to like heart or like
Okay.
text messages, which is
You can
kind of
just
annoying because sometimes I'm like, I just want to do a thumbs up that I got it, but
right.
I'll just say okay or got it, and it's
Yeah.
fine. Like
Yeah.
there was life before emoji, like
Right.
the heart and the like button. So
You will survive.
yeah.
I
The other thing I did was we use Slack in my company, and I always had the Slack notifications on.
mhm.
And there's 5 of us at the company, and so people are typing about different things, but I get a notification no matter what. And I finally just turned off the noise
Mhm.
because I found I was sitting at my desk, I'm doing something focused, and then I hear the noise. I'm like, oh, I got to go look at it. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like with your cell phone or Instagram or whatever, like that distraction, it's hard to get back into what you're doing. It's hard to get back into focus. And so that was like life changing for me. And I had no idea how distracted I was because of that Slack noise.
Yeah. I two things to say on that. My friend that I was visiting this weekend, I always have my phone on loud, I'm in real estate
Yeah.
and I I stopped using Vibrate a long time ago because if I would go to a yoga class or something like that, then I can just like turn my phone on silent, just basically because I got used to doing that.
Yeah.
And she heard my phone go off and she's like, I hate that noise so much. And she's like, I can't. I was like, is it this one particularly that I'm using or is it a sound in general? She's like, I can't do the sounds. Like, all right, that makes sense. I get it. And then the other thing I wanted to say is I haven't implemented this for a long time, but at my previous position, I would mute my emails. So I still have emails that come up in the corner. I don't feel like they bother me very much, but I'm definitely going to try to shut them off now and see what kind of difference that can make for me.
I think that's a good idea. I also sometimes, like, especially if I'm on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
I turn it on to like fetch emails instead of
I don't know what
having
that
them
means.
when normally on your emails on your phone, it just pushes it out every couple minutes. And so you're constantly seeing the number tick up. But if you say that you
Mm.
have to fetch emails, you have to go into the app, you have to scroll down for it to refresh and then bring new emails in. So it's
Mm.
kind of a nice way to not have to look at them and not
Got
have
it.
to see like, oh my gosh, the email's piling up when you're gone.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably for text messages that really bothers me seeing the number on there, but for
Mhm.
emails, I don't know, I'm at like 6,000 or something, so I
I'm at
just
like 10.
yeah.
I every time I get to 10, I like start deleting again because for some reason 10K, yeah, not just 10, 10K.
Yeah.
It
The trigger number.
puts me over the edge. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Oh man, what about you? What do you do for work boundaries?
Yeah, well the biggest one was not having the short-term rentals anymore that are by the airport in the city.
Hmm.
So I think that well, ironically today or tomorrow, I think is when that we will release an episode on that. So go back
Yeah, yeah,
a couple of weeks, I guess, in
yeah,
episodes, and there should be one more in greater detail on why I chose to lose $13,000 a year. Um, but those 5 minute tasks really add up, similar to what we were just talking about with getting distracted with emails and text messages and stuff like that. And trying to not necessarily time block, but set up my calendar for when I'm available for others. So I had an interesting opportunity kind of come up recently where I can help support other people in their real estate business, which is super exciting and I love to do. And I've done this previously as well, but it was kind of go with the flow with the market of real estate. So I'm setting some bigger boundaries in, okay, maybe just 2 days a week or just one day a week. And here's my calendar and go ahead and set up whatever you want during these hours. So it kind of alleviates having those 5 minute tasks back and forth. And for example, like setting up a showing, if I'm doing even for myself, but if I'm doing it for another agent and their client, like it can be a little distracting and time consuming. So if it's like, hey, let's set it up at this day at this time. Oh, that time isn't available. Which time should we do it at? And oh, actually, just kidding. It's not on the market anymore. They're accepting an offer. It's just listed as still available, but actually isn't.
yeah,
And going back and forth, this I'm just putting some systems in place of you book it and just put it on my calendar to alleviate some of that time.
yeah, totally. And then you get to go and help them out, but without having to do the back and forth because it's really hard to say, oh, how much time it was. If you're getting paid hourly to help somebody, like it's
Yeah.
hard to add up the 2 minute text messages that happen 20 times throughout a week.
And what can you
um,
do in between too? Like all you can kind of
yeah.
do is just sit and wait or fold. Like when I'm on the phone, that's when I fold laundry a lot of the times. So it's like,
Uh,
but that's actually on the phone, not like during text messages and stuff like that. It's like I can fold two pieces of laundry, but that's probably about it. It doesn't feel very productive for anybody at that point.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm excited for you to try out that new way of helping agents and hopefully it'll save some time, but you'll still get to
Mm-hmm.
do what you want to do.
Yeah. Thank you. Me too.
All right. Next one we talk about a lot is our health boundaries. Something that we've talked about on here a little bit is that we're both gluten free and mostly dairy free, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd say both of us are like dairy free at home. And then it's really hard to be gluten and dairy free when you're out.
Mm-hmm.
But neither of us have like extreme allergies. Neither of us are celiac. Neither of us have. Well, do you have lactose intolerance? I don't have lactose
No, not
intolerance.
lactose. I wish it was. It would make it easier because there's like lactose free
So
butter, or there,
milk.
no,
Yeah.
there's not very much lactose in butter. So a lot of people will still eat butter, and there's milk
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But
I'm
nope,
more
that's not me. It's
intolerant.
all the proteins.
Yeah. For me, it's the casein and the proteins, and butter is actually one that not so great for me, but
Yeah.
very sadly. But something that we've talked about is like it's actually it's actually a boundary that we've created and set up. It's like, hey, we know we don't feel well if we eat these foods. We're not going to die. We're not going to break out in hives, but we don't get to live the life that we want, that we have energy and we have clear minds, we have um, happier stomachs, like all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. Like there's a lot of people out there that I've realized they have these similar issues and they just decide not to do anything about it and they just suffer the consequences, which is fine. It's everybody's choice, but I choose to live my life a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel that way. And I think you feel similarly.
Yeah. Like I was eating a pretty gluten free for sure at home. And then when I would go out, I would, sometimes I would eat like an actual sandwich or pasta, but I mean, I would still eat like smaller things of gluten here and there, but still like ends up being multiple times a week, kind of when you add everything up. And yeah, like my stomach hurt. I was really tired. My ears would feel plugged all the time and sometimes would like be like piercing screaming at me. I don't really know how to explain that, but it was like a pain. And now it's like, okay, it's hard to be on the other side where you have to be strict. People essentially have to make accommodations for you sometimes, like with traveling or different outings and stuff like that. Or I need to just plan ahead. And trust me, it's not easy and it's not fun. Like, this isn't something that I just do because I think it's fun. It's like, no, I don't want to live with those consequences anymore. So,
Yeah.
boundary.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting thing about being in real estate as an investor and uh, the life that we're choosing to live, like gluten free and mostly dairy free. We're kind of going against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing W-2s. We're not like just following the standard American diet and just believing that that's the right way to do it and not just like this idea, especially as women, where we feel like we should be easy and easygoing, like just like go with the flow. And it's like, I'm over that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry that I'm an inconvenience, but I'm not sorry at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. It's not worth it to me. And honestly, you don't want to be around me when I,
Yeah.
when I don't get enough sleep and when my stomach hurts or whatever it is. So yeah, it's sometimes I do kind of see a correlation of like, sometimes I feel like a salmon swimming upstream
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of areas of my life as an entrepreneur and in my, food and health choices. But the older I get, the more I'm okay with it, the more
Yeah.
I'm confident in those choices.
Same. I remember at first when I had to like be like, excuse me, does this have gluten in it? Are you sure? Can you go talk to your manager? And now I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm going to do it every single time. I'm going to ask a
Yeah.
million questions, but guess what? Things get messed up. And also, it's not fun. So, yeah, you just get used to it with time
Yeah,
and see what
it's
works for you.
true. And people don't think about it. They don't like somebody's like, yeah, it's gluten free. And before I took a bite of something, it was
Those
chips, and
chips.
I was
Yeah.
like, they're corn tortilla chips, right? And she was like, yeah. And I looked at them. I was like, I'm pretty positive these are flour corn tortilla
Yeah.
chips. And then uh, I made her ask, and she's like, yeah, actually they are flour tortilla. I was like, thank you, thanks. I'm glad I didn't eat them, you know.
Right.
But
Gosh, makes me so
anyways,
mad.
yeah, me too.
But
But
anyways, the other thing that we do that I think is probably our number two is movement. Similar to getting cranky when I'm eating gluten and dairy and all those things, is I get cranky when I don't move. I, I am literally a different person. I remember one time I wasn't going to yoga for a while. I kind of got out of the habit. And then I went to yoga and I was just the happiest, calmest person. I dropped my phone and it totally shattered as I was crossing the street. And I just looked at it and I'm like, it's fine. It's just a thing. I can buy a new phone. It's like the perfect example of, and no, not every day am I like that happy and easygoing. I
yeah,
am human, but I'm definitely a better person when I'm moving. And if I don't move for a few days, my mood changes for sure.
yeah, me too. And I've realized now, like even on vacation, before I thought, oh, just a break, and it's like I don't move in the same way on vacation, but
Hmm.
my last vacation was great because I got to take my walk around the lake every day. Like that made me happy because I'm doing something that makes me feel good, that I like doing, and get to listen to music or a podcast or whatever. And yeah,
Nice.
something that we also do the same is like we need a little bit of accountability. And
Uh-huh.
whoa, yeah, I really like classes. I used to always go to this class when I was living in San Francisco. I would go every Tuesday, Thursday morning. I was working a 9 to 5 job. And so I would go to the 6 a.m. class every Tuesday, Thursday from 6 to 7.
Wow, good
I'd
for
get
you.
home. I know I was like impressed with myself thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I just got in that routine. And that one I actually didn't have to sign up for. I just had good willpower. I don't know. But
Mhm.
it was the same teacher and she was expecting me. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you feel like, oh, I have to be there because
Yeah.
she's going to ask where I am if I'm not
Yep.
there. And now I go to a Pilates class that I signed up for 8 classes a month. So it's pretty much 2 days a week. And there's only 15 Pilates reformers. So I have to sign up or I might not get a spot. And you have to cancel 12 hours beforehand or you lose your class completely. And so that keeps me really accountable. And I love it, but I love it. So I'm glad, but I also am glad that I have to plan it into my schedule and like having it feel more like an appointment that I know I'm going to do twice a week makes it a lot easier to actually do and to not move it around, not just say, oh, I'll do it later. And then for me, I bought a walking pad last October. And honestly, it's been really life changing because we had a lot of rain last year and I love walking. And I'm not in super cold, but rain is not fun to walk in either.
Mm-mm.
So,
Gross. I hate it.
yeah. And then I'm in California. So, knock on wood, we don't have bad fires this year. But when the air quality gets really bad, you're really not supposed to walk outside. So,
Mhm.
now I have my walking pad and I do it pretty much every work day I get on. And like the first hour of my day is when I'm on my walking pad and I'm answering a bunch of emails. It's kind of the perfect time for me to do it because it's just simple emails to write back to. And then
It's a
I do
great
my
way to
meetings
start
in
your
Polish.
day too, to like
Yeah.
feel like a little bit more energized. And I know you don't have coffee, but like it's the natural caffeine gets you going.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then after that, I just kind of move around my house. Sometimes I sit here. Most of the rest of the day, I sit on the couch between showings and whatnot. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it's nice that I know I got my hour of walking in at least.
And how far do you normally end up walking?
Well,
Does
I
it tell
found that I
you?
can, yeah, it does. I can only really go 2 miles an hour comfortably while
Hmm.
also typing. So I usually do 2 to 3 miles. I usually do 60 to 90 minutes at 2 miles an hour. So
Okay.
2 to 3 miles a day.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah.
I'll take an extra 2 to 3 miles without even thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best thing about it. It's
Yeah.
like it's on top of everything else I'm already doing. So
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
it's just bonus.
Yeah. And another thing that we do too is spend a lot of money in different areas of health, physical health, our bodies, everything. It's a priority for us. You only get one body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we want to keep it going. Where it's like, would you feed your racehorse all this chocolate and not invest into its health if you had a racehorse? No, of course, you're going to like treat it the best way possible. Not to say that we don't love chocolate and chips and all the things as
But
well,
we're gonna
but
get the nice organic chocolate that doesn't have additives in
yeah,
it.
which I strive to, but life
Yeah.
happens. Um,
Yeah.
I know I was at the airport on Sunday coming back and I ate so well all weekend. And then I realized I didn't have time to eat a proper meal at the airport. And I was like, oh, but I really need something. And I did get a better for you, but it was a better for you cookies. But no, what we're talking about more in this realm is like acupuncture, massage, chiropractor. There's so many different things that you can do, and what is going to make sense for you. Right now, I'm working with a functional doctor. It's not cheap, but it's something that I was like, I need a coach, I need guidance, I need help. Trying to do this by myself is taking a lot longer than I want. So I want to invest in my future. So both of us have a yearly budget for health related items for each year.
Yeah. It's for me, it's just a non-negotiable, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather save money on other things than taking away um, those health things. I love acupuncture. That I don't do. Well, I do. I get face acupuncture now, and that I do pretty regularly because it's cool because it's like a alternative to Botox. But she also does acupuncture on my body at the same time, so it's like best of both worlds. Um, and then I go to the chiropractor probably once a month, and he does an adjustment and a short massage. So it's like a 20-minute appointment where he adjusts and then also does a little body
Cool.
work. And I love that. And it's funny how I think about I was with my uncle last week and he has never gotten a massage in his life. And I had a woman come and massage like our whole family. She did like a mobile massage and she came. I really want to hire her for one of our retreats to
That would be
come. She
so
was amazing.
amazing.
We're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
P.S., if you want to come to one of our retreats, get on our email list at investedandrested.com because we're about to announce it soon and I'm excited.
Yes.
But, anyways, my uncle has never gotten a massage. And I was like, wow, that is so crazy. Like, in some ways, I'm like, how do you get your body back in alignment? Like, right now, my hip is off. Like, I can't wait
Mm-hmm.
to go back to my chiropractor because I can totally feel that my pelvis is out of alignment right now. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just have this like locked hip. And it's amazing to me to think that that they just suffer through that.
And a lot of those people that aren't going to the chiropractor, like they don't stretch or even do
Yeah.
like a self massage or anything. I don't know. I would be so cranky all the time.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, sometimes like unawareness is a certain kind of bliss, but like I
Mm-hmm.
choose to live a more aware, intentional life. And
Yeah. Well said.
I think that those things are must haves once you have the awareness of what's going on in your body and your mind and those and therapy, that's a big one for me. Like I don't know if you do regular therapy right now, but I have a
Mm-hmm.
therapist every 2 weeks and it's amazing and I love it. And I stopped at one point and I was like, no, I'm going back.
Yeah.
I like my neutral person that I can like tell all my crap to, and yeah, it just feels nice.
It's so good. And I think a lot of these things, like they take a little bit time to figure out what works for you. Maybe you go to the chiropractor and you hate it and you don't need it, but massage works really great. Or maybe it's group acupuncture instead of normal, like with a different provider, or what fits into your schedule. Like I signed up for like a massage, um like it's auto taken. I'm not
Subscription.
a subscription. Thank you. Words are hard.
Yeah.
And I would love to have like a small business specific person that I go to. And I'm still searching for somebody. But the reason I go with Massage Envy on this subscription is because I'm just not, I don't like, I want to decide a couple days in advance on when I want to go in. So you give and you take. Otherwise, it would probably take a few months to get in with, quote unquote, the right person that I love.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. That's true. And something you said you've been doing something with your food lately
Mm-hmm.
that's been life changing. Tell us about it.
Totally life changing. This is the one that I am like the most excited to tell everybody about right now. I feel like I've been kind of in a bad cycle that I've had a hard time getting out of for the last like honestly, now that I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, probably since COVID. So 4 years ago of just eating late night snacks. I never used to bring snacks to bed, or would eat super, super late. And then I kind of got in a habit, I'm assuming through COVID, now that I think back on it, that I will bring snacks to bed. I could even bring a meal to bed. And I haven't done that part in a bit, but still eating right before you sleep, you don't feel good when you're laying down.
Yeah.
So then my sleep quality would go down, and then I would have a harder time getting started, like in the morning, like mentally, physically, all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like I'm staying up too late. I'm not getting my day started. I'm basically starting on the wrong foot. And it would just feel like this cycle that I didn't know how to stop.
Yeah.
But changing this one thing I guess I've needed to like get everything in order, which is I stop eating after 8 p.m. Some of you probably think, wow, that's pretty late. Well, I think that's a pretty good start for me. Should I choose to go earlier? I will, but this was like, I started it only a couple weeks ago, so I'm still pretty new
You
into
also
this.
go to bed pretty late. So that's
Yeah.
like 3 hours before you go to bed, right?
Yes. Yep. So I go to bed between like 11 and 12 um every day. So yeah, at least 3 hours was a good start, being from like eating at 9:30ish probably every day. So
Yeah.
this felt attainable, especially right now where it stays light out like probably, I don't know, till like 9 o'clock or so right now. So you just
Yeah.
don't feel like you need to turn off and turn in. You're like, I want to be outside. I'm going to go on a walk.
Yeah.
I'm going to go play pickleball. I'm going to go run errands, whatever it is. You're not going to like settle in, and therefore I don't like take the time to start making a meal then. But yeah,
Yeah.
8 o'clock was the perfect time for me. Now I want to go to bed at a decent time because otherwise I'll get too hungry, and I don't like going to bed hungry.
I don't either.
Um, so now I will wake up feeling more rested and ready to go and start my day off on the right foot. So it's just like I've created that new circadian rhythm that I have
Mm-hmm.
been looking for, instead of snacks in bed at midnight every day.
Totally. Yeah, I I do that, but I probably stop eating at the latest 7, more like 6:30 most days.
Mm-hmm.
But I go to bed really early. I go
Yeah.
to bed at like between 9 and 10 because the first child is up around 6:30. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a different schedule than you are, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like that feeling either, eating late at night. And then I don't sleep as well.
Mm-mm.
If you have food in your stomach that's like in the midst of digesting, like the beginning of digesting.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you probably don't digest it or absorb as many nutrients. I mean, I don't really know what's actually happening, but if you're not feeling very well, like for me, it would kind of like cause a stomach ache and bloating. Like that can't be good for you. Other things aren't going to work correctly then either.
Yeah. And if you're eating at 9, 10 o'clock at night, it probably wasn't the healthiest
No,
snack, I
nope.
imagine.
Snacks are never, it's like you can't eat vegetables past a certain hour. Sometimes,
No,
like,
yeah.
I think my best snack that I like late at night would be, which I don't do anymore, would be like half frozen mangoes from Costco. So I will just
Mm.
unthaw them a little bit, not all the way. Those are good.
Well, those are our health boundaries. And I think they're just important in everyday life because
Health is
if you
wealth.
don't have your health, health is wealth. Yes.
Mhm.
It's not, why make a bunch of money or strive to make a lot of money if you don't feel well? That's just pointless. So
Yeah.
that's what we're all about.
And next one is
Um,
on to time. We all have 24 hours in our day. So, Caitlin, why don't you tell us how you spend your 24 hours in a day?
Time boundaries, lately we've just been thinking about what's worth our time and what's not worth our time. So I was just telling you yesterday about putting a bunch of stuff on Buy Nothing. If you don't know what that is, there's a Facebook group. It's called Buy Nothing, and every city has one. And it's just kind of a community of people that are into sharing things instead of, number one, to get them out of landfills, number two, to help out community members. So it's especially good if you have kids and, there's constant cycles of changing clothes and all the different needs you have as babies, but it's also great for just random stuff that you want to get rid of. And yesterday, I put a bunch of things on, and one of them was like a pretty new charcoal Weber grill. And I was asking my husband, I was like, should we sell that on Facebook Marketplace? We could probably sell it for maybe $50. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even more. I don't know. But then he was like, but if we sell it, then I have to clean it and get it looking better. And then you have to go back and forth with the people, and there's negotiations. And then you have to, and then you're selling to people that are in a different area. The nice thing about Buy Nothing is like very hyper local.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have to give people your address, just that whole thing.
Is this
And
available?
yeah, you get a
It makes me
million
so bad.
messages. And he was like, no, we don't want to do that. Like, time is money. And when it comes down to it, that $50 could be made in another way. I could spend
Mm-hmm.
that time looking on deals for the day, analyzing some real estate deals,
Yes.
uh, whatever else it may be. Um, your time is important and your time is valuable, and you really think about we got to think about what's worth it. And today you posted the reel. Tell everybody. I mean, it would be a couple weeks ago now once this episode comes out, but tell them about the reel you posted.
Yeah. So we used to do everything ourselves, or like majority of things ourselves, and with our rentals. And we bought a commercial office buildings, like 3,500 square feet. We're divvying it up into office suites. But when we bought this building, it was like more of a warehouse style, basically. Um, and because my partner is a general contractor, we were going to take this on ourselves. And we're like, we're going to save so much money, and it's going to be great because anything in the commercial world isn't freaking cheap. So we got a quote for like $260,000. We had two other quotes for like over 400. And we were like, great, well, obviously we'll go with the 261. Not to get into too many details, essentially, like we did a gut check, and based on some communication, that wasn't going to work out. We were like, we'll do it ourselves too. That long story did not work out either. We can get into some of these details maybe another time. But essentially, we are spending a frick ton of money to have somebody else do this. But it is such a blessing. It is absolutely amazing. They are fantastic people, great communicators. And, we still like communicate a lot, and we're putting so much into this deal still as far as like our time, but it's a lot different than working with the city on permits, working with our architect, maybe working with some other vendors and trying to have people call us back and whatnot. We basically are like, hey, what's going on this week? And they tell us, they update us, they let us know what decisions we need to make, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we went there the other day. There's people working all over the place, and we just step in and we look around and we check it out.
Yeah.
And it is the biggest blessing we would have we would have died trying to take that on. So
Yeah.
know your time worth and know your skills.
Yeah. And I think what it comes down to too is like, you really have to think about that in real estate, what is worth your time and what's not,
Mm-hmm.
because you would be spending all that time working on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you might spend a lot more time than hiring it out because they have a bigger team, whatever, and there's holding costs to the
$7,000 a
property.
month, in case you're wondering what the mortgage is right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, so if that goes on for 3 years while you're working on it, is it really actually going to save you
Right.
money? And then the opportunity cost of not only the holding cost, but the opportunity of cost of not having it leased out. Because
Yep.
I imagine once you get it leased out, you're going to be making 10K plus on rents. So yeah, but the reel she posted today was like just a silly reel about being financially responsible, thinking that you're doing it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but then actually that's not always the financially responsible decision. And sometimes you should hire out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, and for me, you still do all your property management, but I invest out of state. So paying for property management is worth it. It'd be a lot of time and energy to try to do this from a distance and having to piece together people to go there when I
Mm-hmm.
need somebody on the ground or have to fly up there, and like just not not worth it.
Yeah.
And
And on top of a 9 to 5 for you, on top of kids, and like, your husband's traveling a lot too. So that's like your plate's full. Know your time, which is spending time getting more deals and
yeah,
running the numbers and that and getting help on the back end.
yeah. And then we also do, like, I personally do time boundaries. I don't know if it's me getting old and cranky or what, but like I realize that, I used to be more social during the week, but I think it's because I have kids now and it's just like there's a lot that we have to do after work, like getting
Mm-hmm.
every but anyway, there's a lot of activities and whatnot. So, like tonight, both boys have soccer practice, and I have a meal in the crock pot right now because when we get home, we need to eat right away, and then there'll
Mm-hmm.
be bedtime and blah, blah, blah. So, I realize that for me, one social event a week is all I can do during the weeknights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't manage any more than that. And I prefer maybe even every other week is probably my personal preference at the moment. It might change when my kids are a little bit older and there's less bedtime and the whole shebang.
Right.
But yeah, that's something that I realized and I kind of set a boundary on. Like I just don't feel well if I do it more than one night a week. It's not enjoyable to me. It kind of stresses me out. I don't get as good a sleep because I'm probably going to bed later than I normally would. Maybe I drink some alcohol when I'm out during that
Mm-hmm.
weeknight event or whatever. So I just have taken all those things into consideration, and I just like it's just a boundary unless it's an absolute must that I am not going to do more than one social event during the week.
Yeah. I think that's fair. That makes sense. I know I used to schedule myself full every single day of the week. And some friends of mine had mentioned to me like years ago, like, oh, you're always so available. And you're, even when you're with me, you're texting somebody else back. And I think it came to a point too where I'm like, just because somebody reaches out to you doesn't mean that maybe you need to get back to them right away. Yeah, of course, like be kind, but also be protective of your time and your energy and who you're spending
Yeah.
that time with.
Which brings us to our last one, which is about relationship boundaries. It's kind of like that. Like you get to choose who you want to spend that time with, and you can say no as a full sentence when people ask you to do something with them. And you've heard that quote, like you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. I don't think I told you this, but in college there was a class where there was a guest speaker and on the board she wrote, you're the sum of the five people that you surround wait. Yeah, you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with, or however that goes,
Something like
plus
that.
like the books and the content that you consume.
Mm,
And that was the first time that I had ever heard that. And I still have a picture of it on my phone, like to this day. And though I've always known about that, I don't think that I always actually set those boundaries. And being a recovering people pleaser, it definitely takes some time and effort, but you're so right about no can be a full sentence, and like you can choose to what you want to do. You don't have to just say yes to everything.
Yeah. Something, and it goes with family too, like something that I realized. I grew up in the Bay Area. I lived here my whole life. My mom's family wasn't really here, but my whole dad's family was local. And there was a lot of family events growing up. We celebrated every single birthday. You know, you just did every family event, you did it all together. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just what I knew. And then I was 27 when we moved to Switzerland. Oh, and my husband's family. Then once we got married, my husband's family was here. So we were doing events with them too. So at that point, it kind of got like a lot of family obligation.
Yeah,
But
it
then we
adds up
moved to
fast.
Switzerland and we couldn't go to we could go to some. We would come back for vacation once a year and do what we could when we were here. But we realized, oh, we can't go to any of these family events. So then when we got back, we realized, okay, we don't have to go to every single event. And like even my husband and I, like sometimes he'll go to his family events without me, maybe bring the kids and I'll go to
Mm-hmm.
my family events without him. So like we could give each other a break sometimes because yeah, you don't have to do everything, but sometimes it takes like seeing another way or being forced into another way
Mm-hmm.
to realize, oh, that wasn't necessarily how I wanted to spend all my extra time.
Yeah, that's good. I think you're right. It does take sometimes seeing another way or being forced into it to gain that perspective. I think that's a lot of what happened during COVID with,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, time boundaries, all of these things really is like we had to adapt and change. Um, and yeah, sometimes you need a little accountability
Yeah.
and see what that looks like. But now we want to hear from you guys. We're curious on what your health boundaries, relationship, time, work, etc. What does that look like for you? What's worked for you, or what have you tried and wasn't maybe the right fit?
Yeah. Give us some ideas. We need more too.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
ready to.
close to perfect, but just not quite
Yeah.
yet.
No, we're not at all, but we're just giving you ideas that have worked for us. But we'd love to hear what you have implemented in life and in business, and what's helping you and enjoy your life more, because that's the main goal in the end, is setting up boundaries so you can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that was today's episode. I hope you have a great day and we'll see you guys soon. Bye,
Bye,
friends.
everybody.
Thanks, friends. That's the episode for today. We so appreciate you being here with us and would love if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and check the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for our retreats and future coaching programs. Stay rested, friends, and talk soon.